Here we go. Time to start with C4. Albert Lee. And oh, it goes with the reverse Grand Prix. That's interesting. I'll set up a fianchetto against it. And maybe play with E3, D5, that kind of thing. Knight to E2. Looks like he's going to try and get a big center there with D5. Yeah, he could play D5 right now if he wanted to. Okay, let's go ahead and get castled. Then, well, why don't I get in D4 here? Don't need to castle right here. I just want to see if he's going to take or if he's going to push. Those are kind of the options. So he decides to take. Let's go with the knight. Take back with the knight there. So I like this for me. I've got the bishop on this diagonal. This pawn and the knight are also influencing the D5 square. So there'll be a little battle here over D5. And yeah, he's going to end up with an isolated pawn there. So he goes for the IQP right away. Now what? Could bring the other knight over to F4. Keep this knight on D4. Bring the other knight over to F4. Looking at the D3 square. Maybe maybe let's start with bringing the bishop to this diagonal, though. Okay, let's see. If he takes, I'll take with the queen so as to keep pressure on his isolated pawn here. Then he has a tempo move with his knight. So I have to watch out for things like knight here. Hitting my queen and piling up on this knight. But if I drop back and if my bishop is here defending, then takes is okay. So I think I can just defend my knight there and be all right. So I was thinking knight takes, queen takes, knight to E4, hitting my queen, so I've got to move the queen. It goes there first. So if I take it, he'll take back with the D pawn, curing his problem. Let's see, if I don't take it though, this guy is hanging, so I take here first. Hitting his queen. Maybe he could have taken my knight. Then I will just defend my knight. Yeah, I don't know if I calculated that right. We'll have to check that out in the postmortem. Okay, so again, I have a good bishop here. Got pressure on the diagonal. I think this should be all right for me. I think I'll push my pawns forward and try and keep his pawn backward. Yeah, there's no pressure on my pawn at the moment, so I don't have to play A3 there. It was kind of an instinctive response. Let's look at this. So he's very weak on the dark squares, but he's traded off all of my minor pieces, so it's a little hard to exploit. Queen maybe could come into C4. C5 to B6, maybe. He can't chase my queen off of the dark squares very easily. He would have to use his queen to do it, and his queen doesn't have any squares that are defended that it can go to oppose my queen. And this queen on B6 might be annoying if he moves his queen away from that diagonal. Maybe rook to E1. or d1. Bring the rook to d1, push this pawn forward to e4. Can't take this way because I'll have rook takes queen, so he takes this way, and then I can take back with the bishop, and he takes the bishop, I get the queen. So yeah, combination of rook d1 and e4 seems to be playable as long as his queen stays here. So he's lifting his rook up to defend the bishop. Let's go ahead and put my rook on the half-open file there, opposite his queen. See if he allows e4. If he just pushes, I'll take with the rook. e4, d4, rook takes d4. So he moved his queen away to oppose my queen. And he goes there. Okay, yeah, he's going to push on with f5. Very typical thing to do in the in the Grand Prix attack here. So pawn push, pawn to f4, pawn takes, pawn takes. I don't really have rook takes. Or do I? Yeah, rook takes, rook takes. Yeah, his bishop would be hanging. So maybe I am successfully fending it off for the moment. So what now? Maybe I just push these pawns forward. I thought he couldn't do that because this hangs, right? So rook takes, I take the rook, he takes here. But his bishop is hanging. Or his rook is hanging. If he takes my rook, I take his rook. If he takes here, I take the bishop. Oh, he grabs the pawn over there and defends the bishop. Pretty clever. So can I do something about these pawns here? So if I go queen to e5 and he takes the pawn, I can go check. I can block with the queen. Well, he's not threatening to take there right now because I will take his bishop. So that means I have time to bring my rook into the game. Okay, so he goes there, takes the pressure off of my pawn, but attacks f4 here. So, or f2. Can I counterattack? It's not good. I have to defend that because queen takes pawn, then queen takes bishop is mate. Or I could push it. I guess that makes the most sense in this case. So he's starting to push his pawns. So let's attack. Attack the e pawn. He can't, or d pawn. He can't push it forward because I'll take his bishop. And I am threatening to take it. And I have a check here I might be able to use sometime. I can sack the exchange and push this pawn forward with check. That maybe is interesting because those pawns become dangerous as as they push forward. Yeah, but I can take his bishop then, so probably not good. So Albert is looking for a move. He has an exposed king. Let's see, my king is exposed on the dark squared diagonal. He resigned. He resigned. What the heck? Why would he resign here?